broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. This is Zach Stone here for the June 2018 marketing webinar on how to review your website's past performance and improve upon that. I am going to be talking about a lot of different areas, a little SEO, a little lead management, and conversions, but we're really looking at reviewing the metrics and the leads and the traffic that you're currently getting, and finding places to improve upon that, and setting up your data so that you can make correlations between your different advertising efforts and see what's really working for you and what might not be working as well as you may think, or just give you insights in general. So we're going to start off with finding out where your clients are coming from, which will lead us into leads, which will push us through to traffic, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some basic SEO elements that everyone should be aware of, and some things that you might be missing that will help with this whole effort moving forward. So, where are your clients coming from? If you've got a good intake system and the people who are doing intake are able to get referral or referral data information on where the client heard about you, how they found you. Was it a friend that referred them? Was it an organic search? Did they find you on Yelp? So there's a lot of different ways that people can find you, and you want to make sure that you're tracking that, but you don't want to get so granular that you're missing data points. So, for example, we get enough leads from Yelp that we break that out into its own separate category, but for other sites like Manta, for example, that just gets lumped into our organic bucket. So if you've got these one-off sites that kind of fit well into a bigger bucket, I'd recommend pulling those in. But as you see a single source driving more and more traffic and leads, I'd recommend breaking it out as it makes sense for your practice. So you want to be able to review the leads that actually turned into clients. And if you're not doing that currently, there is a help article that I linked to here, and everyone will be receiving the webinar recording and the slides after the webinar tomorrow. So this article will go through the steps and the tool in DSS that allows you to classify your leads and talk about the and score the quality and that kind of thing. I take all this information that we get through DSS, and if you use another software solution, that's fine too. If they can get that data to you, or if you can grab that data from the platform. If not, you should really look at alternatives, because this is really important information, and if you're not reviewing it, you kind of can be flying in the dark. But I use Excel a lot to dive into the data. You could also use a business intelligence tool like Tableau or something of the sort. There are a lot out there, but if you've got some Excel skills, that is a huge plus, and you can do everything that you'd want to, pulling the data from DSS or somewhere else. Excuse me. There are a couple help articles I have here on how to create pivot tables in Excel, because that's what I use most often when diving into this type of data, and then some other resources on how to use Excel. And I'm going to talk a little bit about diving into that data once I get through this lead part of it, because they kind of are connected. So you want to be able to export the leads from DSS or a similar tool. You want to look at your referral sources, the device types, the entry page, the form submission page. And the difference between the entry page and the form submission page, as defined in DSS, is pretty self-explanatory. If they entered through your site through this page, that's the entry page. If they submitted the form on another page, that would be your submission page. If they fill out the form on the same page that they entered, then that data will be the same. But you want to be able to review the leads that don't turn into clients. A lot of our clients miss out on connecting the dots here. It takes a little extra effort to connect clients to the lead information that we gather in DSS. It is a little bit easier if you're using a connected intake solution like Capterra. We have an integration with, so that if you're using their software for intake, it will actually push the DSS information into the intake information. So while you're doing your intake and figuring out if they're going to become a client or not, you'll keep that landing page, entry page, form submission page data in there with everything else. So you want to be able to take a look at all these pages and make a good educated guess on, or not guess, but a good educated decision on what to do to either increase the number of leads you're getting through a page or decrease depending on the situation. I've had a lot of my most successful experiences with clients in helping them actually drop the number of leads. A couple options that I found really helpful in the past is, especially for chat, because chat is such a good conversion tool. You're getting people who are going to start chatting with you that either aren't ready to hire a lawyer or are just looking for information in general. But some chat providers will be able to provide you with credit if that is the case, like Engage. We typically recommend Engage, and they actually allow you to only serve your chat box pop-up to people who are in your target state. I'd recommend at the state level because you never know what's going to happen. If you do get clients from outside your state, I wouldn't recommend doing this, obviously. But if you take one case out of every 1,000 that come from outside the state, it might be worth looking at to avoid the hundreds of leads you'd have to comb through to get to that one great lead. The other thing that you can do is turn it off on certain pages. So often what our clients will see is they'll have a lot of success with an individual piece or several pieces of content that either rank nationally or rank for a very competitive term, and they're not necessarily the conversion-centric content that they're looking for, but they're getting all these chats of people asking questions or more information or wondering if it's applicable in their state. And you can turn off chat or maybe move a contact form down the page so people are more engaged with that content rather than asking them to contact you right at the top of the page. That's an option available to you. So you can either reorder forms, calls to action in your sidebars and your layout of your website, or you can work with your chat provider to not display chat on certain pages, or to only show chat to people in a certain targeted region, which can be really helpful. So to look at this and give you an example of how you can kind of dive into your leads and your clients, I pulled the data from DSS for Foster for the last 6 months or so. And this is everything that you get in Excel form or CSV. It's going to be all the data elements with consistent columns and information. So when you go to your lead section in DSS, and I'll show you how to do that real quick just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So you can go in to this view more, or you can go to leads by date. So it's going to default to the current month that you're in, but you can actually select previous months or use the filter here to drill into any area, date range, type of contact. If you're using the lead scoring that I talked about a little bit previously, that can also be used if you're trying to dive into information there. But you can set the date range to whatever range you're looking for. And then you're going to want to export all. Click this button and export. So that's going to give you the data in this format. I pull out the unique information for the name and the email and phone number, so you guys wouldn't be able to figure out who we're talking to and keep everyone's information secure. But essentially, we took all this information. We've got the device type, the entry page that I talked about, the submission page, the if we use, instead of case type, you use the business type. But for you, if you're a criminal defense lawyer, it'd be like a DUI defense or a, sex offense or whatever it might be that's relevant to the practice areas that you have. You have a lead score, so a 0 being totally irrelevant spam, a 5 being really great lead that's totally relevant to what you do, and you see them turning into a potential client. The lead source, this is going to be either organic, PPC, email, direct mail, client refer, past client referral, employee referral. There's a lot of different options that you can put here. The lead action is something that you can use to essentially say, we took the case, we didn't take the case, the date of that action. In the notes field, we use that to denote the vendors that potential clients would be with, and you can use that for maybe who the attorney might be working with them or some other piece of information. But basically what I do and what I'd recommend doing if you don't have a business intelligence software is to use pivot tables. So if you look here, I've got the entire data set selected, and that's what you're going to want to make sure that you've got all the available options to you. If you're not familiar with Excel, like I said, there's some resources in the webinar, in the presentation that you can check out. But in the insert section here, if you go to pivot table, it's going to say select the table range. If you've already selected, it's going to be in there. It's going to create a new tab, and what this does is it gives you all the data elements that are in the data table to slice and dice as you see fit. So your rows are going to be left to right. So this is looking at contact forms, mini, and reports. Maybe we want to actually look at the offer as opposed to the contact form type. So this for you might be books, or it could be another type of download, or a mini contact form, main contact form, call, chat. Then you could look at the values of the data that you want to track. So the refer would be a count, but if you wanted to break that out and see the individual refers, you put columns here as well. So this value section is counting the number of each of these elements in the column from the piece of data that you chose. And I broke out some examples of things that you could look at. So this is the lead type, like I talked about. This is the entry pages of people who converted with us. And if you click on a pivot table that you've created, you can always drag, reorder, change how things are set up. But you can see here the offer, which is an analysis, is the first row. If you put something below it, it's going to break that down. So we've got the analysis, call lead. These are all the pages that drove an analysis, with the home page having the second most after the actual analysis page. Then business type, referral, see more entry, the submission page here. So as you can see, once you've got the data consistent and everything looks the same and pipes out from a solution like DSS, and you're able to go and input the tracking information that you can pull from your intake software or as you go with DSS, I would recommend if you're using an intake software, hopefully they've got some kind of functionality, or case management software that has some kind of functionality that will allow you to pull information like this. If not, exporting the clients that you take, and if you do have the clients that you don't take as well, exporting those, having some way to denote the difference between the two different sets of data, and then use something like conditional formatting in Excel So conditional formatting will actually allow you to highlight any text that is the same or contains the same information. So if you had a list of emails or phone numbers or client names from your case management software that you could export and then match up to your lead information, that's a pretty good shortcut to connect the dots there and allow you to get deeper in your analysis. So there's a lot you can do with pivot tables and tracking where your actual information is coming from. So if you're looking to improve a page or a referral source, see how things are working for you, this is where I would kind of go and dive in to that information. So everything that I just talked about is related in there. When you're talking about traffic, so the other thing that you're going to look at is the amount of traffic that you're getting from different sources and what web pages they're going to. To best analyze that, you want to make sure that your goals are set up properly in Google Analytics. I talked a little bit about that in last month's webinar. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's on our website. We have all of our webinars recorded there and in the resource section. So take a look and set those goals up properly if they aren't already. That's going to be really helpful when you start to drill into things like your goal flow in analytics. So in the conversion section under goals, there's a goal flow report, and you'll see your goals are set up here and they pull here. If they're set up properly, you're going to be able to see, and you can dive into the source, the medium, the traffic type, a lot of different information to see what actually drove people to go to the landing page and convert. So it actually will say or show us that although Google is driving a ton of people to this legal analysis website, only about 1% of them are converting. When we're sending an email to someone about it, about 17% of people are converting. And if someone's coming from one of our clients' websites, about 21% of them are converting. So you'll find that different sources are going to drive different conversion rates and have better quality scores and everything that goes along with that. So you want to make sure that you're doing a content audit over time. If you've got the data for a year or two to dig into and understand which pages were driving the leads that actually turned into clients, if there are any pages that were driving a ton of leads that weren't turning into any clients and it's not relevant and it never will turn into a client, then you can adjust the conversion elements on that page, like moving the contact form, maybe removing it from that page or removing chat from that page if it's really irrelevant leads that you're getting. I wouldn't, unless the piece of content is completely irrelevant to what you do, I wouldn't recommend deleting it if you're getting traffic as the first step to fix the issue, because that piece of content is likely driving so much traffic because it's picked up some kind of natural backlinks or social metrics over time, or is just really well optimized in a niche that it helps the rest of your website having a page with that much authority. So when looking at that and thinking about that, we'll look at a example page, and you're going to get a little sneak peek at one of our newest tools or suite of tools. This is probably one of the bigger updates we'll ever make to DSS, but we have a new SEO tool coming out in the next few months. Don't have a date specified yet, but it will be coming. So if you're a client, be on the lookout for that. If you aren't a client, this is definitely something you might want to reach out to us and talk to us about, because it's pretty powerful once you get in there. So if I was going to take a page and analyze how well it's optimized to drive traffic, I would use this landing page SEO tool in the new DSS section that, like I said, will be available in a few months. Still working out the kinks and the layout and everything for everyone, so it's pretty exciting. But this tool, this landing page SEO optimization tool, looks at a lot of different factors that affect your SEO. And it'll score you based on the page's optimization. So one big thing is you want to target a keyword. So what we're targeting is for this page is Justia Lawyers. It's a page about Justia legal directory and how to optimize it, claim it. So if I'm searching for that, oh, wow. I guess some of the updates we made actually gave us this featured snippet now. So now when you Google Justia Lawyers, you're going to find our blog post ranking above Justia. It's a web homepage. So that's a pretty good testament to the value of what I'm talking about here. It's really important to get all your SEO elements right and target this information to make sure that you're showing up for the things you want to show up for. Now, when I'm talking about optimization and how to make your web page rank better for a certain phrase or target, this is a pretty short one. This is the equivalent of targeting car accidents. If you're a personal injury attorney, your practice area page should more than likely target some variation or phrase along the lines of car accident lawyers in city state or city state car accident lawyers. That's the practice area page. That's when people are ready to look for a lawyer and find that information. If you're talking about like something that's a blog post or a FAQ, you're going to more than likely have a longer phrase to target. And that's where all that long tail, really quality traffic comes through. The top level pages and targeting, it's great if you can rank highly for that top level keyword, but having done a lot of the analysis that using all the pivot tables and everything else from the entry and submission pages over time, we found that the best leads that actually turn into really good cases are often from those supporting content pieces when people have very specific questions to ask and not necessarily that high-level car accident lawyer Miami related content to what you're practicing is what's important there. So if it was a Florida statute of limitations, you don't want to jam Miami car accident lawyer in the title and the headline and the body and the meta description. You want to be focused on the Florida statute of limitations phrase or group of phrases, variations on that, and try to rank that page for that. So that's what we're doing here. We're not jamming attorney website design into this piece on Justia. We're really just looking at giving someone a really good resource on what they need to know about Justia's lawyer directory. So we've got some imagery here. We've got multiple H2s that you can see here, and you can see that target keyword is in that H2. It's also at the start of the title, even though it goes on to add more additional information. That's what I'm saying would be a long-tailed target. So Justia Lawyer's Guide to Claiming and Optimizing Profiles would be the long variation. There aren't a ton of people that are going to be searching for that, but if they are adding those extra phrases and information, we want to capture that and have this page be relevant. But our target phrase is this Justia Lawyers, which you can see we've got that featured snippet for. When using this tool, and what this tool is really going to be doing for you is giving you an easy to understand way to look at each of the optimization elements on your page. So like I said, it's the Justia Lawyers is in the title tag, it's in the H1, it's in an H2. I don't have in the description tag, so one thing I could do, clicked on the wrong link. One thing I could do is go to that page, and try to fit in the target phrasing into the meta description. So here's where I'd probably try to do that. So it would be Justia. And I'm not talking about the exact phrase every time. You can use broad variations, especially in the content, the body of the page, and in the meta description. The meta description isn't what you used to think was a ranking factor, but Google does bold elements that are part of the searches that people put in, and there's a correlation to ranking better when you include those target phrases. So I'm including the target, trying to add the target phrase or a variation of that to the meta description. I already have it in the H1. I've got it in the title. I even have it as part of the alt text. And when I uploaded the image, I named the image that target phrase, which is relevant to what the image actually is. You don't want to use image names and alt tags that are completely irrelevant to what the image is about. But if it's relevant to what that information is, that's a good place to just include good optimization on the back end that normal users don't see, but Google is crawling and seeing on the back end. So updating that meta description, I don't have it in the URL, and I wouldn't recommend changing it unless you've got something really terrible and long that is getting cut off when people link to it or try to link to it, or it just is totally irrelevant to what the page is about. But if you've ever attracted a backlink over the period of time organically or through link building efforts, the less redirects that you can have by changing that URL path, the better. So SEO isn't really, we're making it a mathematical equation here, and it's all based on an algorithm, but you have to be mindful of things like that. So I'm not going to change the URL and potentially hurt the rankings that we've gotten in before, but I am going to make sure that the alt tag, the image file name, and the body text have some kind of relevant link targeting phrasing in it as well. The keyword being in link text that links to the page is also important. So there are 8 internal inbound links pointing to this page, and 2 of those include the target phrase. So if I was on our site and I just did a search for Justia, so this is the page we're talking about. That's the first result. There is this directory post on the 6 best directories for attorneys, a piece on Penguin, and a webinar we did. So this is the page we'd want to link to. If I do, this was the second page that showed up, and you can see we actually are linking to it, and we're using Justia and a relevant broad variation attorneys. So that's the thing. You just want to be able to naturally link back to the page that you're trying to rank that keyword for with relevant contextual information. You don't want to jam it in and have it be the same thing over and over and over again. You want to diversify what that anchor text is. So on this page, what I'd probably want to do is go edit this page and add a link back to our Justia blog post from this little brief mention. That's going to further improve the relevancy of the blog post to Justia and the lawyers that are looking for it. This is a webinar that we actually are linking to that post as well. Another pretty similar yet slightly different variation of that headline for the piece. So there is, so I got a question from Brooke. What does the character limit mean in the meta description? So the character limit, and we're talking about this right here. So this character limit is essentially just counting how many characters you're using. Google has moved back to 160 characters as the default, more than likely amount of characters that it's going to show in a meta description. So there are other situations though where, like for this featured snippet, this probably a little longer than that. This is a little longer as well, but this is what you're typically going to see. So Google came out and said that they're going to have much longer meta descriptions about half a year ago now, and they tested that, didn't see better results, so they are pulling it back. So you'll see meta descriptions in this length more likely than not. But we have that so that you can see when that meta description might get cut off. So if you're really worried about making sure that every aspect of the meta description is included in the search result, then you might want to shorten it to something like this. This still gets the point across. It falls within that range, but don't think that having slightly, if you've got meta descriptions that are over 300 characters, definitely worth trimming that down quite a bit, but don't feel like you're hurting yourself by having something that's a little slightly longer. It's just likely that Google's going to cut it off at some point. The same character limit idea applies with the title tag. Now, you'll notice for this title tag, we actually get that full phrase we're using and then Foster Web, not full Foster Web marketing. But that's okay. There is that slight branding recognition that we're getting from that. And I want to be able to include more of those target phrases as possible. But if you ever see a tool that says that the title is too long, it's not that you're getting penalized for it. It's just that there's a better way of doing it. And so you might not need all that super long phrase or sentence. You want to pull it down to something that's a little bit more digestible in a title. But this character count here in the title does not include the brand name that gets piped in at the end of your website if you have a DSS website. So just be mindful of that. So even though we're slightly under, I know that the brand name is often going to get cut off because we are close to that 60 character count. So back to the optimization of this, if I was going to be trying to improve this page's relevance, maybe show up for even more variations of Just the Lawyers than we already do, I would find more contextual links like this one to point back to the blog post. Like I said, the file names and the alt tags are also something you want to be mindful of. When you upload images, try to make sure that you're not uploading huge giant images, that you're just shrinking down on the website. Make sure you use the size that only the size that you need, and use a tool like TinyPNG to compress them so that you don't have the huge images that you can apply across the site. So we've talked about that quite a bit in the past. And as a sneak peek to this SEO tool, we are offering to do a free SEO audit for your website. So if you go to fosterwebmarketing.com/SEO and fill out the form there, we will send you a report on broken links, broken images, as well as other SEO elements. It's not it's a little bit of the optimization stuff, but mostly it's really looking at those technical things that you probably haven't paid attention to. But external sites, delete content, move content without redirecting all the time, and that can create broken links on your site and images as well. So you want to be able to clean that up regularly, and this report will give you all that information so you can do so. Make sure your site is clean as a whistle from the SEO perspective. Some things that you want to do on top of this, because what I really just talked about now was a lot of on-page optimization, as the SEO world talks about it. But there's this off-page optimization as well that you need to be doing to make sure that your page is ranking. Building external links or earning external links is the best thing you can do off site to improve your SEO and get more traffic and leads to your website. Publicity.ai is a great PR outreach link building company we've been using for a little over a year now, I think, and they're really great to work with and provide a great service and get good links to interior pages. That is very hard to do, and they do a great job of doing that consistently. Another thing you might want to take a look at is our blog post on leveraging your community efforts for link building. There's a link there for that. Relevant content that will make your site more interesting to Google for the phrases that you want to show up for. So rather than just posting a bunch of pieces of content on your website that include Miami personal injury lawyer, include or write additional FAQs, blog posts, video, offers, in-depth articles on personal injury law in your state. All those topics fall under the umbrella of personal injury law, whether it's the statute of limitations or what to do after a car accident, what the helmet laws are in your state. All of that together show, and if it's all really well written, it's all really well optimized, and it's all fleshed out and unique content, that's going to help your site's overall visibility in Google and get you more of the traffic that you're looking for. So it's not about just posting a bunch of pages that mention Miami car accident lawyer. It's about posting a lot of really good in-depth content that answers the question that you're trying to answer better than anyone else has in your area online to date. So that's something that you really want to look for. We've got some content on our site about how to attract people that will promote your content and how to find different topics and different tricks on that. And you also want to make sure you're taking advantage of all the conversion options available to you. We've got a great post on not getting burned at the end of the conversion funnel, but also you want to make sure that you're using chat and call tracking. If you're not already, you really should. Like I said, mostly people don't have good experiences because they're just accepting everything. If you add some of those filters, not apply it to every page, maybe focus in on only your target state, you're going to get a lot more relevant leads that way. It is a really good conversion tool. I highly recommend it. And call tracking is going to allow you to know where people were actually coming from when they gave your firm a call, and you can do some quality assurance on the intake side to make sure that people are saying the right thing at the right time and being empathetic to the people's situations. Another thing you're going to really want to do is make sure you have some kind of offer or like a soft call to action for all your different practice areas. So if you have a car accident book, but you don't have any offer for the workers' compensation practice area and content that you have on the site, that would be something you'd want to focus in on. There are people who are at different stages in the research process, and they might be looking for a guide or a calculator or a book that will allow them to come to some of the conclusions themselves in the beginning. And that allows you to put them into an email campaign and try to convert them later on down the road and stay top of mind with them as they're trying to work through this situation. That way you can be a little bit more sticky and not just be a one-time visit. Hello Bar is also a really great tool that allows you to create pop-ups, and you can split test different versions, different content, different layouts. But that's a great way to promote books, offers, get people to driven to other pieces of content on your website, or just to contact the firm or practice. and it's really cheap. It's like $15 a month, and for up to 250,000 page views. So I'm pretty confident everyone will fall in that range. Like I said, if you need some SEO help or an audit of your website's links and images and everything else, go to the link on the screen, fosterwebmarketing.com/SEO, and we will send you a report with all that information within 5 business days. And feel free to schedule a time to meet with us, but you don't have to if you're just interested in the information. So I hope that was helpful to everyone. I know we covered a lot and I ran a little over, but I hope everyone has a great day, and come back to our next webinar in May, or sorry, July. I'm going backwards in time, and we'll see you then. Bye.